Ladies and gentlemen, Caravan fans, welcome back to yet another episode on Mount Carmel's official podcast, Built on Dante. My name is Matt Mullen. I'm going to be your host today. We've got another special guest here. His name is Leonard Siegal. He's a junior, one of my good friends here at Mount Carmel. Lenny, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing good. We kind of had to pivot today because Christos is out playing basketball. He's at a college camp, so I thought, who's another junior that we could bring on who would have some stories to tell us? And I thought, what about the guy that lives with Christos, Leonard Siegal? You guys aren't brothers, but you live with one another. Why is that, Len?
Well, I guess you don't know. I don't know why I'm saying that.
I don't know.
Freshman year. So I moved into Chicago freshman year with my family. Came to Mount Carmel, attended like any regular student, but my father's part of the military, and he was coming to Chicago to earn his graduate degree at the University of Chicago, just down the street, and now he's teaching at West Point. And the plan was to move between sophomore and junior year to West Point in New York, and then I'd, attend school there, finish my junior and senior year there. But when I started talking about it with the Carmel families, Carmel guys, a lot of them, I made some friends here. I made buddies, and this community is pretty special. And the Demas family, Christos' family, offered to take me in. They said, like, hey, like, why don't you move in with us? We'll host you. You can finish your junior, senior year here at Carmel instead of moving away and needing to restart again. And, I haven't regretted it one day since. You said brother, and I think it's kind of funny because I came into school today, first period, and Angel Reyes, another junior friend of ours, he looks at me and he goes, yo, where's your brother at? I was like, oh, he's off at a basketball camp right now. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
know exactly what we're talking about.
It's definitely become something like that. Mr. Nolan likes using that a lot. When it was the junior awards. I forget exactly what he said, but you guys are tied for first.
Yep.
As far as GPA goes and grades. And so when they were giving the awards out, you guys went back to back, and so he had to announce your guys' names together for that first place spot. And I think he called you guys like housemates.
I think he said Christos Demas and then the guy who sleeps in his house, Leonard Siegal, or something like that. I don't know. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, has it become normal, or do you still find yourself being like, yeah, Christos, he was my friend 2 years ago. Now I just live with him,
It's weird. It's different. I've had a lot of different stuff happen to me in my life, so it's not like the oddest thing that's happened, but I've become acclimated to it. It's my life now. He's like my brother. His chores are my chores. I do things for him and he does things for me. Like every day, like my parents bought me a car, so I drive to school. Every day I drive to school, I drive him, make sure that he's where he needs to be, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, he makes sure that he's the reason that I get to eat dinner here. He's the reason I get to sleep in a nice house, and not in any kind of weird way, but I owe it to the guy to do a lot of things for him, and I think that's, not just with him, but with other people in general. Like at this school, there's so many people that I couldn't be here without them, and it's like you owe it back to the community in a lot of ways, and I've loved that about Carmel. Like everyone not owes in a debt sense, but in a community sense, everyone owes something to each other. Like you're here, invite me on this, and I'm here for you when you need a ride home, and you're here for me when I, need help with math and that kind of stuff. Like it all kind of gels together, and we become something more than just ourselves. And I love that. I love that. A bit more than you asked about, spending time here, but
Right, yeah. But, spending time, you and Christos are here a lot.
yeah.
Christos comes in the morning to get shots up. You're staying after school to help out with the play. So what's it like to come into this Mount Carmel culture, Caravan Brotherhood, where there's this whole sense of don't be a 240 kid, and you guys really embody that a lot, and you also live with one another. It's just there's got to be this constant atmosphere in your life of that Caravan Brotherhood because you're living it out in, I think, the fullest potential. You come here, you make all these friends, and then one of those friends is like, yeah, come live with me for the next 2 years, which
Yeah.
these are, arguably some of the most important years of your life. You know, you're in high school, you're finding what you want to do as far as college and career goes. You're living out all your interests. You know, when you did the play, the Demuses went, of course, you
Yeah.
know, because they
Yeah.
took you in under their wing. So, you know, how often do you kind of pinch yourself, or I guess you know, get caught up in the moment of like, yeah, I live in a pretty unique situation.
Uh, that I mean that's an interesting question. I think every day. I think every day
Yeah,
I kind of like cold water hits my face a little bit. I'm like, wow, like this is real life. Like I, I mean I've had a weird life in general. I mean military family. I lived overseas for a little while. I didn't know I was coming to Carmel until the freshman orientation week when I shadowed Seth Mendoza, and I didn't even realize how weird that was until like my sophomore year, where I was like, wow, that week is just for freshmen, and I got to shadow someone during that week. Like
yeah,
that was really weird. Like hindsight, that is very odd. Not that doesn't really happen very much. Like someone shadowing a school during their orientation week, like that's so weird. So I mean, there's so many days that I'm like, I wake up in the morning and like the night before, Christos will be like, hey, I want to go in early tomorrow. You want to leave at like 6? We'll get shots up. Like I'll get shots up. I'm like, I'm tired. I just finished my A push homework. I'm thinking about my AP physics test tomorrow. I'm like, I don't particularly want to get up in the morning tomorrow.
right,
But then I'm like, well, there's so many days that he stays after school when he doesn't have to, and he'll just kind of like do random things around the school. Like he'll get shots up, or talk to someone about math, or he'll talk to a teacher to get help, or he'll do all these things because I have something like to play, and I'll
yeah,
be here until 5:30, or I'll be here until 6, or we'll both be here until 8 o'clock for NHS inductions we after I just helped produce a basketball game and he was announcing or something, or he was playing on the court. Like
right.
it's unbelievable. I mean, the amount of things that we do in a day and the amount of opportunities we're given to do these things. I mean, I can't think of many other situations that I've been in that are so opportunistic, so available. Like we were sitting in here and I'm just talking to you, and then kind of hits me, wow, like I'm about to get interviewed, like I'm about to be on a podcast.
Right, yeah.
Like there's so many things that you don't even think are gonna happen until the day of, and then you're like, wow, like tomorrow I'm going to go interview someone about such and such thing. Tomorrow I'm gonna take I don't have to take my pre-calculus final. I don't have to take my APUSH final, and then I'm going to take my honors Latin final, and I'm going
Yeah.
to have to study tonight to make sure that I understand enough Latin to take it. And all these hours build upon each other. And I mean, tonight we're going to be going to see the Caravan baseball team play at
Yeah.
Azinga Field against Providence
I'm
at,
excited for that. Yeah.
at 7:30.
Yeah.
Hopefully, going to be a very good game. All these things that all these guys are doing. This community is amazing. I can't stress enough about the amount of things that we're able to do as individuals, and then are given the opportunities to do by the organization itself.
Yeah. I know you said like there's a lot of things you don't know you're gonna do until the day of. I can remember being a freshman because my dad went to Marist and then my mom went to Mother Macaulay.
Hmm.
But my mom's side of the family, the O'Connor side, it's you know it's been a part of Mount Carmel for a while. But this was kind of my mom's like this is the closest she's been to it. I want to say like I don't want to speak for her or anything, but obviously when you have a kid going to a school, you're going to be involved no matter what. And there were so many times I can call back to where things just happened and the kind of minimal detail was given. You know, it wasn't
Yeah.
like lazy or anything. It's just things moved so fast around here. And I remember sh- um, she kind of just kept saying, "Well, that's Mount Carmel for you. That's Mount Carmel for you." And she's been
Yep.
saying that for the past 3 years, and somehow it works out. It's
Always
totally
does.
organized chaos. Coach Anto talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
I have Mandarin with him. You know, he kind of has that saying you have to be crazy to come here.
Yep.
Aaron Heiler, who's a freshman here, he says that all the time. He hasn't even been here for a year, and he understands it. So, yeah, you and Christos embody that though. Like you have to be crazy to come here, because
A little bit.
the amount of things that go on in a day, and then you look at like a week, the progress you make in a week here. That's something I've talked about too. Bringing up another person, Ryan Clark.
Yeah.
Um, very good lacrosse player, and he got injured in like the second game, the third game of the
Yeah.
season or
Pretty
something,
early on.
tore his ACL. And whenever you get a pretty bad injury like that, you kind of get philosophical almost. You
Yeah.
kind of start
Start thinking about life,
yeah,
you know?
you
Like,
think about it a lot more like, wow. Um dang, this might be it for me as for a sports go or whatever. So he just started thinking about it a lot more. And we kind of came, I was talking to him, and we kind of came to this point where it's like you just got to take it week by week, because from one Friday to another, progress is huge,
yeah.
and that obviously goes farther than a torn ACL. I mean, who was it? Danny O'Connor. He came up to me today. He's like, "I got my grade up 25% in 1 week." I'm like, there you go. That was he told me that in Mandarin today.
I believe it, you
Yeah.
know?
So um, things just move so fast around here. The baseball team a week ago, nobody thought they'd be here,
No,
right? I'm,
not. I
you
mean,
know,
no
people.
shade to the guys. I love them
Yeah.
so much. Like some of my best friends are on the baseball team. I love them. I'm gonna be honest. I counted them out a little bit. Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I kind of did. I love
Yeah.
them, but I was not expecting that. And taking down Naz like that, 5-3. That was great.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go to the game, but I heard from all my buddies. Like they all started texting our like group chat. They were like, "Let's go!
Yeah.
We're gonna be playing. We're gonna keep going." Like, I think I texted you. I said, "We're going all the way. Like we're gonna
I
get
mean,
another one."
when you get this far, it's like you want to, right? But I
Yeah,
mean, I wasn't expecting much because you immediately kind of dismiss the team because of how young they are,
they're a very
right?
young team. Yeah.
Brady Holland plays on the team, and Brady Holland is very good friends with the O'Connors, with
Hmm.
Tommy O'Connor. And I remember, like, going to Mount Carmel football games. We would go pick up Danny and Tommy, and Brady would get in the car and tag along. And I used to kind of think of him as just this like little guy, right? He's a year younger, right? It's only 1 year difference, but I thought like, oh, he's just this younger kid. And here he is playing on the varsity team, doing very well.
Yeah.
He went 2 for 4, I think. Yeah, he went 2 for 4 against Naz. So it's crazy how fast things moved around here. Um, those other sophomores like Ian Tosi and Joey Ireland. The list goes on. I could talk
Yeah.
about McQuillan too, but this is a super young team we're talking about here. Things are moving very fast. I think almost too fast to the point where
Sometimes.
it's kind of an advantage for them,
Yeah.
right? These other teams they're playing, like Nazareth, who was 38-0 heading into the game, they probably wanted to take that game a lot slower
Yeah.
than the pace than it actually went. Because the way I see it is when you're an undefeated team, you want to have control of the game. Of course,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, you could be 0-38 and you want to have control of the game, but especially when you're on the other side of that, where you're undefeated heading into a playoff game, you want to take things at your pace.
You do not want to lose control of that.
And I
Yeah.
just saw right off the gate, out of the gate, like Colin Adams steps up to the plate, first pitch gets a hit. And I went to the game with Christos, and we're looking at each other and we're like, this pitcher, like, is it nerves? What's going on here? Like what? Basically, we looked at each other and like, why are we playing so well right now? We're 17-14 going up against an undefeated team, one of the best in the state, right? Why are we in this position? And that just happened for 7 innings. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to explain, but man, this baseball team is exactly what we kind of needed almost. I feel like after that loss at the basketball final,
Yeah.
we needed this team. This team is led by a few seniors, but it's like we said for the millionth time on this podcast, it's such a young team, which is why it makes it so much fun to watch them. So they have to take on Providence tonight,
That'll
and
be tough.
Providence, you know, to them, baseball is like football to us. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibe I
That's
get
what
from
I've
them.
heard. I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I think Christos said that.
Um, I I obviously don't know the full history, right?
I
how
mean,
far back
Providence
it
used to be
goes.
really good at football too.
Right, yeah,
So
they've had a couple good years, but I just know that baseball is their thing.
really,
Baseball is their thing, um, which is why the win tonight would be
pretty
that much
phenomenal.
that much sweeter, right? And make it even
Pretty
better.
awesome.
Head down state, so we're rooting for them. I hope we get a big crowd too,
Me too.
because that's something that you have worked on a little bit as well,
Trying to.
as far as the crowds go. I know.
Trying to announce it more. I mean
Yeah.
on the PA in the morning, afternoon. I try to tell people. I don't always know. That's the thing. That's the thing that irks me about. I love Carmel. It's organized chaos. I mean, like you
Mm-hmm.
said,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that happens that you don't even know that it's going on until literally the day of 20 minutes, 30 minutes before you're like, oh, wow, no, I'm going to go do that now. That happened to me all the time freshman year. I didn't even know when there was a home football game. And then I'd be like, Mom, I'm going to go to the game. Please, please, please. And she'd be like, all right, I'll pick you up at 8. So, I mean, there's all this kind of stuff. But the one gripe I do have is that there's not enough promotion of a lot of our stuff in terms of athletics for students. I think there's a lot of emails sent out about things like you know, the golf memorial outing and that kind of thing. But, you know, in terms of like, here's a football schedule, here's a baseball schedule. Obviously not the state schedule or anything like that, but even just the conference and the like regular games, regular home games. I didn't even know about them, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't hear it announced. I wouldn't hear it. I didn't see a single poster about it, and I think you might have talked a little bit about like Christos and all these other guys, maybe Louis too, about like student body president, like the goals for that. Did you mention that he won, or
Oh, I
was that
haven't yet. Yeah. Wow.
Christos Demas and Marty Mann won the student body election, student body president election.
Past Friday, right? That's when they
Yeah, I think
announced
they
it.
announced that
Yeah.
last Friday. So want to get the word out there. Congratulations to
Well,
them.
he won half the vote, I think.
It was 120, I believe, and then
Yeah.
he got like 80% of the teacher vote. So,
Jeez, that's
but yeah, it's that kind of stuff. Like you just need someone to push these kids and tell them that there's something going on.
yeah.
Like no one told like I had to go around and ask people like, hey, like so we won last Friday. We're playing Providence at Ozingo. What time is that? I just want to confirm that's going on.
Right.
Because the worst thing that could possibly happen is for me to tell everyone that we're playing at, you know, I don't know, we're playing at home tomorrow at 5 and we're actually playing like at Rita at 7.
Right.
Like I would hate to do that. So I have to go through like 6 different people just to confirm that we're actually doing this. And then I announce it. And it's like I would so much rather just there be like a spreadsheet with all this stuff on it.
Yeah.
Even I mean obviously not the state runs because we can't predict that until we're in it. But like just the conference games, I'd love to have that. And I think we need to have a serious conversation with our athletic department as a student body, student body government, as a administration, and just get that information from them. Make sure we have that. I mean, even wrestling, even as a wrestler in the wrestling program, like the past year, year and a half have been the only years we've actually had like a serious schedule. Like my freshman
Yeah.
year, I had no idea what was happening at all. Like I had no clue. And true, I was a freshman. Like
Right.
maybe that was part of it. But there are guys this year that's like, "Hey coach, like we're like going to wrestle like this Saturday, right?" And it's like, "Yeah, Len, we're wrestling this Saturday. But like where are we going? We're going to Rita for CCLs. But like what time? Like I feel so bad because I ask all these questions, but like I think we just need a little bit more organization.
Yeah.
Organized chaos is great. It lends itself to a lot of fun. I have so much fun here, but I think there's sometimes we need a little bit more, you know, focus.
Yeah. And I know you probably can't relate to this, but I kind of got lucky. In 2019, I was a seventh grader. Yeah. It was like the fall of my seventh grade year. I didn't know much about like 7A, 8A football. I didn't know much about that. I knew of Mount Carmel football, and I knew like a couple kids that were on the team. I knew that they were very good, of course, because I have all these,
Family members.
family members
Yeah.
that, kind of say that time and time again. But when they went 14 and 0, I went to every home game. I know that for sure. And then I made it to almost every away game. I know a couple of them were pretty far, so I ended up not going. But like being exposed to that when I was in seventh grade, like hopping in with my grandma and grandpa and just being taken to Barta Dowling, and we get in there, and I'm like, all right, what do we do now? My grandma's like, experience it. Like there's no set of rules or anything. It was so free, and I go and mess around with the kids, and eventually you find yourself playing Loyola at home, and they kick a field goal to walk off field goal to win it all. Like that's how you buy in. That's how you grab the attention of
Yep.
somebody. And so, um, I agree with you. We kind of have to do a better job at like promoting it, because once you experience it once, you never like keep you want to
You
keep
want to
going
keep
back.
going.
You really, you experience one good Mount Carmel football game or one good Mount Carmel basketball game, you want to keep coming back.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the same even for lacrosse. Like lacrosse,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna be honest. I had no idea how fun that sport was.
It's very fun.
I
Yeah.
counted. I saw it. I was like, wow, these are a bunch of really aggressive guys that like go hit their heads against the wall.
Yeah.
They like all my like. Don't get me wrong. One of my best friends, Alex Irvin, plays lacrosse. I love that kid, but he's a little nuts sometimes. Like
They're all.
they're a little all a little something.
Yeah.
Rylan Supergessi. I mean, I've seen that kid like 5 times. He's honestly, every time I've complimented him, he has been the most humble, down to earth person
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
I talked to his mom about it, Miss Luker. I was like, "Hey, like your son is like super humble. He got more goals in. Like he just broke a record like at our school. Like he just broke a record."
Yeah.
And and Miss Luker was like, "Oh yeah, no, I've taught him to be humble." I was like, "Hey, like I respect that.
Yeah.
Like if I was him, if I was in his position and scored a behind the back goal." I was up like 8-2, I would not be humble about it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I could be. I think I'd
Right.
be losing it. But I mean, it's great. Some of these guys. But I watched those games, and they were amazing. They were so much fun to watch. It was 48 minutes of just constant activity, and it was great. It was
Yeah.
an amazing time. I loved being able to go up there and film them with you guys. And it was really sad when I looked over and I didn't see really any students because
Right.
I think there's so many kids that would love watching it and just being there and experiencing it. And I saw all the parents. The parents were in it and loved it. All the guys were there for each other on the team. But there wasn't much student support, and I hate to see that because I think it's a fun sport to watch.
Yeah.
And not just that, but basketball. The one time that we really hyped up a basketball game, the Iggy game, playing Ignatius, pretty good game. I mean, we got that promoted all over the school, and a ton of people showed up. I mean, we were all wearing the right gear. I think we were like a blackout or something,
Yeah.
and we were all wearing the right gear. Some guys like cropped their shirts. One guy was wearing a Grinch costume. Like it was great.
Hmm.
It was a ton of fun. Everyone really enjoyed it. We all got super like active and had a bunch of fun. And then the De La Salle game, we had a student section. For the state run against De La
Oh,
Salle.
that was fun. Yeah.
We had a
That
bunch
was
of guys
at
show up to that.
Hinsdale South, I think.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
sure.
That was a
That
good
it was
game.
such a good
Yeah.
game. A bunch of guys showed up. I mean, it was fun. Like every time we try to promote something, it does really well.
Hmm.
We just don't promote it enough, and I think we're missing that for a lot of sports
Yeah.
and a lot of activities.
Yeah. Because I gotta say, um, because I've announced all these sports, I've been around for a lot of senior nights.
Yeah,
I've been, volleyball, football, basketball. I've been around a lot. And you gotta get this nostalgic vibe a little bit from all these sports. But then when I went to lacrosse this senior night, they had all this food out, and all the moms brought it, and they made everything, and they were like, "All right,
Mr.
let's just
Mr. Cologne made a bunch of
yeah, yeah,
hamburgers and hot dogs. Oh,
yeah,"
that's great.
and it was a fun time. Like I
Yeah,
I really like the lacrosse program we have
yeah,
because all these kids,
yeah,
these lacrosse kids are just like, man, you have a conversation with them and you remember it. Like they're memorable people. They're very memorable
yeah. That's for
personalities.
sure.
But like you said, you talked to Ryland, super humble kid. And so I remember sitting down. We were all eating at the table after the game, and
Hmm.
they lost.
Yeah,
It
we
was
lost to
yeah,
Fenwick, right?
Fenwick. It was
It
one
was
goal.
9-8, right?
Yeah, one goal loss. Like
Super good.
most of these guys should be really mad. Like they should be like, dang, like we lost that game, senior night, and all this stuff. Every single one like held their head high. Like
Yeah,
they walked around, they were being all like just cracking jokes and stuff. And then I saw Coach McGuire. I'm thinking like, dang, this guy, he's got to be going through it right now because he
hurt his
hurt his
leg.
ankle. He had
Yeah,
all these star players that got injured, and here he is at senior night, and they lost to a game that looked pretty winnable throughout most of it.
yeah.
And instead, he sits down and he's eating, and I think it was Adam Stanislavski who plays for the team.
JV, but I think he
Yeah,
did a little bit of varsity.
yeah.
Like,
So his younger sister was there eating, and she goes, "What's your name?" And instead of Mr. McGuire being like, "Oh, Mr. McGuire, the head coach," she goes, "I'm Matt," and he sits down and he has this whole conversation. So you definitely get that like wholesome feel from
yeah,
that program. I feel like even though there is that like you said where they're running around the locker room
yeah.
like crazy,
They're
right?
a little
So
nuts.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that where you don't get to experience it much, but then when you do, you realize how fun it is. Like I don't think many people. I I don't know if you remember a Crown Point match.
Oh, I do.
That I'm
The
not. You know
yeah,
what? I'm not happy about the outcome of that match. It was a lot of fun.
that was a strange night.
It was a really weird night. It
Yeah.
was a really odd night. Some guys didn't wrestle the weights that I thought they would.
Well,
But
because they, well, first of all, that whole day was off because of it was,
it was not. We weren't supposed to wrestle them that day. We were supposed to wrestle them like
yeah,
the that Friday, but then
because
we
of
got
the
snowed out.
snow.
But we got snowed
Yeah.
out.
So we didn't have school or what?
It was something weird like that.
Something
I
weird. I
can't
can't
remember,
remember,
but
but yeah,
it was odd, and we like everyone was a little thrown off. But regardless, like the the past few years, we've had the Crown Point matches, and it's been a lot of fun because a ton of people have shown up,
yeah,
and people wrestle their hardest because they see their friends in the stands watching them. I mean, that's why I love Fight Night so much.
right.
We hype it up. Oh, like Fight Night, we're all going to Fight Night. Like who's like, are you fighting? Like how cool is that? Like all this stuff. You make it promotable. You make it fun. You make it exciting, and then these kids come and they have fun and they bring their friends and their friends have fun and then everyone wants to do it again the next year.
Right.
And if you have it for stuff like lacrosse or for football, especially football or basketball, where you're like, even if you don't go to every basketball game, because there can be a lot of them. I mean, I'm not going to go to every basketball game when there's a Tuesday game, a Friday game,
Right.
Saturday tournament. Like, I'm not going to, I can't do that because I do actually have other things that I have to do. But I want to go to more of them. And like, if we promote some of these bigger games, like against Ignatius or against Loyola or against Rice or against Rita, I mean, heck, our football schedule, we're ending off with Loyola, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's un
the entire schedule itself is something to look out
is
for.
amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, our opener is going to be interesting anyway, but
Yeah.
like opening with Hun Academy, right?
Mhm.
And then finishing with Loyola, like it's going to be an amazing season. And
Yeah.
how many home games do we have?
We
Six?
have six. Yeah.
Six home games.
Usually it's 4 or 5.
And
Yeah.
six is great, and I would love for us to be able to promote those because those are big games. Our football team is great, and those are very few chances we get to actually see them. For basketball, we have like I don't know, like 12 home games maybe. I don't know. We had
We had a very small amount this year.
Did we really?
We did.
I thought we
Yeah.
had a bunch.
Yeah. I mean, just compared to other
Oh,
years, I
compared.
want to
Okay,
say.
yeah,
I can't remember the exact number, but what I do know is we had like 3 weeks in a row where we had, at least one home game every week, and
yeah.
then we had like a month off. We didn't have a single home game,
Really?
which that also includes I think Christmas break, but it
Oh
was
well, yeah.
it was a while that we didn't have a home game.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing the schedule and seeing there was like a larger number, especially like because they're in the week more often and not just Friday
Yeah.
nights. But regardless, we, you know, I have a great time whenever I go to
Yeah.
those, and I think if we get announcements, if someone gives me those announcements and I read them, and then we make posters for them, and then we, go on the Instagram and mention it, I think we get more audience participation, we get more
Yeah.
students there, we have more fun, we build this bigger connection because I think a lot of stuff broke down after COVID. I mean, you mentioned 2019 doing really well. I think our football program may not have
Yeah.
deteriorated, but our attendance to those may have deteriorated, and then homeschool, virtual schooling. I mean, all this stuff was kind of messed up
Right.
from that, and
Yeah.
we got to come back from it. And I think we're doing a good job. We're doing a good job as we are, but I think there's
Yeah.
improvement we can make.
We've talked about this on the podcast before with multiple guests, but schools obviously are going to change over time, just naturally.
Hmm.
And kids are going to change over time, just naturally, right? From
Yeah,
what the age when you're 13 to when you're 18, like you're going to change. It's just bound to happen. But something about COVID just like enhanced it.
yeah,
And it really flipped it 180. And we're still getting it back. It feels like we got it back, but there's just
mostly.
certain
But
aspects where, like, man, why aren't there kids in the student section for this football game? Like, this is a really big game, which is why I really like how we had 4 kids run for student body president this year. And while Christos and Marty had that slogan, like, pack bar to Dowling, they were very, like, straightforward with it. It did seem like all 4 kids understood, like the goal here is to get participation. Like Aiden
in
Correa ran,
general, yeah,
and he was all for like the arts. Like he wanted more student participation with the arts. Connor McClellan and Seth Mendoza ran, and I know they had that slogan like blue collar president, but they
yeah,
basically said like we're for the people, and they wanted to be a little humorous with it. I get it, but like I could tell, they were serious. Like we want to be for the students. Clark and Blaine, obviously. I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. If you know Ryan Clark and Blaine Bartolomeo, they're obviously out there trying to get kids to participate. Um, I wrote an article about summer camps, and I interviewed Clark about it because I know he's pretty active with the lacrosse summer camp. And right away, like his eyes lit up when I mentioned it. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's when I met Ryland and I met Wyatt and I met all these other kids who are now on the team." Like, so like student participation, it's starting to pick back up. And James McCormick talks about it a lot,
Yeah.
where this junior class is pretty special, right? Of course, everybody thinks their class is special, but I feel like no matter where you go here at Carmel, there's got to be at least a handful of juniors in that club or in that sport that participate a lot. So now that we're going
Yeah.
to be seniors next year, it just seems like the sky's the limit, and this is the year. And now Christos is the student body president, and his main goal is to pack Barta Dowling. Like, it just seems really important to get kids in the student section. Yeah.
That I think senior leadership, not just like senior leadership, but like seniors, juniors, sophomores, leading freshmen, all these people. It's a cycle and it's steps down.
Yeah.
Like seniors need to be making sure that juniors are doing what they're doing, and juniors need to make sure that sophomores are doing what they need to do, and
And then
same goes down.
all three make sure the freshmen.
All three
Yeah.
make sure the freshmen are doing what
All
they're
right.
doing.
Yeah.
Talk to Mr. Tabernacky about it. I was like, hey, like I feel like I don't have much authority over the freshmen. He was like, well, I mean, not really. And well, like what can I do? And he was like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, how am I supposed to make sure these kids are doing what they're doing?
Yeah.
I joked to him. I was like, hey, like what do you think about corporal punishment? Do I get to like hit him? And he was like, no, no, Len, you're not allowed to do that. And I was like, okay, well, but I mean, in a genuine way, like I think there's a lot of stuff that positive reinforcement. I know Christos and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
Me as this campaign manager, I talked to him about like, hey, like what are we gonna be doing next year for this? Because it's
Right.
important to both me and him and a lot of other guys. Like, what are we gonna do about this?
Because that's something that was talked about a lot is like the whole thing with student body president is yeah, you can throw a poster up on the wall with you and Walter White from Breaking Bad, right? Which is something
Yep.
Christos did, I know, but
Look. I thought that
yeah.
was a pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought I did a pretty good job with that. All right.
Like, yeah, you can throw these posters up and make these videos, but then it's like, what do you do if you win?
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
that's where like the struggle starts. And right away when Christos won, I talked to him because that was the same day we went to the baseball game, and I remember asking him, I'm like, how do you feel? He's like, well, honestly, nothing really changed because I've had these thoughts for months now of like, if I win, I will do X, Y, and Z. And he's like, now the hard part,
Fulfill that.
I gotta
Yeah.
fulfill X, Y, and Z. I can have it in my mind and I can have it written down on paper and put up these posters and stuff, but man, I gotta fulfill it. So
You
yeah,
can't. And the other thing is, I mean, you have to like actually do it.
yeah,
Like you have to go out there and want to do it as cringy as annoying as like needy as it seems to be. Like you got to go out there and actually try. Like because
yeah,
people make fun of kids like I love Aiden Cray. He's one of my best friends. We're involved in so much together. We do a lot of like the play, speech. We hang out. I drive him home sometimes. Like we do a lot of things together, and people make fun of him sometimes because he is so enthusiastic about what he does. They think it's cringy. They'll laugh at him for like trying to recruit freshmen by saying, "Do you want to join the speech program? We get to go out every Saturday and go to a school and give speeches and talk about what we're interested in and do this stuff." And people will scoff at that because they think
yeah,
it's silly to do what you want to do. And I mean, that frustrates me because, I mean, sure, also because I'm part of the speech team, but also because it's like, no, like, why are you making fun of that? Like, that'd be like me making fun of you for loving to play basketball or loving to play football. It's like no, like what I'm trying to do right now is to get kids to come to your game, to
right,
get kids to do this, to get freshmen and sophomores and juniors involved in the play program. This year, I think no, five out of our six. No, because Miles and Anastasios
right,
weren't juniors. So four out of our six cast members were juniors. And then James McCormick was on the lighting. He's a junior. Um, like uh,
I
like
think the
so,
list goes
I
on.
mean,
Like,
so like
yeah,
a lot of our band,
yeah.
several of our band were juniors. A lot of them were seniors actually in the band, because they were taking guitar class and
Right.
that kind of thing. But a lot of guys, a lot of juniors were involved. And I was talking to Christos about this. It's kind of a joke, but when Anthony Wiseman gave his salutatorian speech, I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I really want to be valedictorian. I would love if I got first, but at the same time, man, do I want to give a speech at the Mother's Day Mass? And
Mm-hmm.
because that's the last time. That is the last time that as a student you get to speak to the entire student body. That's the last time because like seniors are out at that point.
That is around the time.
They're already out. They've already
Right.
taken their finals. They come to Mother's Day Mass, and then I think it's either the next week or the week after that they graduate.
Yeah.
They're done, and the next talk that anyone gets to give as a senior was Colin McEwen giving his valedictorian speech in front of all the parents and all the other graduating class. He's not speaking to the school. No one from the school is going to go back and watch the stream. I wish they did, but they're not going to go back and watch the stream and
Right.
listen to what he said.
Yeah.
Maybe you and me because we're nerds, but like Anthony Wiseman, like as a salutatorian, had the last opportunity to speak to the student body, and I mean, I wouldn't want to be second place, but I think that is such an important thing to be able to do. Because as a senior next year, we're gonna have to tell these kids we want to be involved. I mean, like you said, our junior class is special, and we're going to senior year, and we're gonna be involved, and we're gonna do these things. And there's gonna be a lot of senior-led activities and events and things like that. The play is probably gonna be senior-led. The speech team is gonna be senior-led. The wrestling team, all the sports teams are usually led by seniors.
Right.
The Caravan Broadcast Network is going to be you as a senior, the voice of the Caravan, me as a producer, senior, like Christos Demas, a
Christos,
senior,
Marty.
Marty
Yeah.
as a senior. All these guys, seniors. Like this club, the Caravan Broadcast Club, mostly seniors. Like next year it will be,
Yeah.
and we got to find people that are willing to buy in to this Carmel mentality to come in early, stay late, to want to do these things. And there's kids out there that want to do it. I know there are. I mean,
Definitely.
have you? I mean, if anyone even talks to Aaron Heiler, they'll know what I'm talking about. Like the passion, the enthusiasm, the love for this school, the love for this building, the love for the people here in general.
Right.
Phenomenal. And you just have to go out and find these kids and show them that there are things for them to do. I I mean, there's this kid Mikey Vara. I think I've
Oh
talked
yeah.
to you about
No,
him.
I know Mikey
He
Var. Yeah.
Mikey Vara is a great kid. He walked up to me at the De La Salle. Uh, I think it might have been the Whitney Young game, but it was at De La Salle,
Yeah.
for volleyball. And he walks up to me and he goes, Len, what's up, bud? I didn't know his name. He goes, I'm Mikey. I'm like, oh, how's it going, Mikey? He's like, well, like, you know, I really want to be involved in a lot of stuff. Like, I really want to. I just don't know how because like I'm a freshman. Like, I want to be in the Biz Club. Biz Club is like a club that Mr. Conroy leads that introduces kids to
Right.
entrepreneurship, finance, business in general. We have speakers. It's great. It's a great time. Only open to juniors and seniors though, which is a little unfortunate because Mikey's really interested in it. I told him that, and he was like, "Oh, well, that's okay." But like, I want to be involved in things. I want to do things. And there's so many kids like that that just need a little push. That just need a little, you know, they need a poster on the wall that says, "Come to this meeting." I
Yeah.
mean, the kid showed up to Jesus Club meetings with Nico Diaz because there's posters around the school.
Yeah.
Like, 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 they just need a little something. Oh, like barely anything that will show them that there are things to do here. Cause you got to be crazy to come here, man. And like, if you're here, you don't want to be a 240 kid. You end up being a 240 kid because you don't know what else there is to do.
Right.
There's football players I know. I mean, wrestling kids. Jay Acuna. He told me, uh, like one of my like one of my favorite guys. Jay Acuna. He done a lot of stuff in his time here. Been through a lot as a person, and he he told me he was like, hey, like fall, I'm kind of iffy like with my grades because I have preseason wrestling. Wrestling season, for some reason, even though I'm busy every weekend, get home at 7 o'clock every day, do all this other stuff, I have better grades because I am in a system where I'm forced to like I get home at 7, I
I
do
get
my
that. Yeah.
homework, I eat my dinner, I go to bed. And then I wake up and I get to school for morning workouts on Tuesday and then the cycle repeats. And because you're in that system, that place where you're able to do all this stuff that keeps your mind engaged, even though you're busy. It keeps your mind active. Like there's there's days, there's so many days I come to school and I'm like, oh no, like I can't just go home today. I actually have to like I have an interview and then I have to talk to Miss Menke about something and then I have to edit a video and then I've got to do my A push homework and like then I'm gonna get home and then my friend just asked me for a ride home so I'm gonna have to drive him an extra like 25 minutes to his house. It's like all this extra stuff that just happens to you on a daily basis, this chaos. When it becomes just slightly more organized than it is, because it's just been a little too much chaos, in my opinion, for anyone to actually focus on their stuff. Once it becomes a little bit more organized, a little bit more like streamlined, I, I mean, I think, like you said, sky's the limit for a lot of these people. I mean,
Right.
especially us, but I think these freshmen, sophomore, that see us trying to lead, that see our like Kenny Groen, R.J. Risos, all like Joe Walsh, kids that are becoming juniors when they want to do the right thing and when they want to go to these games, when they promote these games, when we do that through, I don't know, reposting on Instagram or putting up a poster in the like cafeteria. When it's doing that stuff, you get a lot more good things done. That's all I'm gonna say.
I get that.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I mean,
I can talk about it for a while. I'm very passionate.
yes.
I'm very passionate about this.
But I think it's the right time to be passionate about it
Yeah.
because, um, I mean, I can't, I can't even count the amount of times Christos and I or Marty and I will be announcing a game and we look over at the student section, right? And it's about,
6 kids.
yeah, it's like kickoff or tip off or whatever is about to happen. And it's like, man, it's a Friday night. Why is there nobody here? So we definitely we need that needs to change. And I really like how Christos and Marty have that slogan, "Pack Bar to Dowling." I'm really glad they won because I know like those are it's my good friend and then my cousin. Like I know them very well and I know they're gonna work at it. Christos was even talking. He's like right away he has his mind set on this game against Han Academy.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to get kids in the student section. Like, what are some ways we can do that? And then Marty chimes in with his ideas. Like the whole thing, I know it's gonna work out.
And
You
it's
know,
not
like,
just that, but it's also like the fact that we have this whole summer to prep. Like now that we
yeah,
know, we like before I felt kind of like lackadaisical about it. Like, hey, like
yeah,
I don't really know how I should try to involve myself. I don't really know what I should do to, make sure kids are coming. Because I kind of felt it. I've kind of noticed it. Like, especially last year, sophomore year, and this year, it's like, I feel like there's something missing. But I didn't know what to do. Now that I'm actually actively involved in this, I can make it my own personal project with these guys, with my brother
right,
Christos, with
yeah,
like with you, my good friend, with like Marty, with all these guys. I can get in there and I can do it, and I can actually prep this whole summer. Make posters, do all this other stuff, and make sure it gets done instead of counting on someone else to maybe get it done.
mm,
Like that's another thing. I hate to change the subject at all, but I that's another thing I love about Carmel is like you at the beginning you think, wow, okay, someone else will take care of this for me. Like when I was younger, oh, mom will do my laundry. Like mom will do my laundry for me. I'll like I don't got to worry about it. Mom's gonna do the dishes. Like I'll just wash my plate. I'll put it in there. Mom will take care of it. Middle school, honey, I'm not gonna do your laundry anymore. Okay, like I'll do my laundry. Okay, I'll wash my dishes. Okay, I'll do this. Honey, I'm gonna need you to start taking initiative and start like doing things on your own.
right,
Like I need you to like when something's dirty, I want you to clean it up. When something's this, okay, like you come to Carmel, you're like, oh, someone will take care of that. Someone like someone walked up to me today. I think it was AJ Stanislawski. He was like, hey, like you're gonna announce the baseball game, right? Like yo, like yeah, like that's the kind of thing. Like you don't count on me to know when the baseball game is because I'm not omniscient. I don't know when the baseball game is. You walk up to me and you tell me, hey, like baseball games later today, 7:30 at Ozinga Field. We're facing Providence. Please announce that for me. Love to do it for you. I mean, I would love nothing more than to announce that. But you just need to tell me. Like I can't sit around and hope that as much as I love Christos, I can't sit around and hope that he's gonna think about all this other little stuff like putting up a poster. I can't expect him with all the other stuff he has on his plate to go and do that.
right,
I'm gonna take the initiative and I'm gonna get it done. And if someone else already did it, like why not use both posters? Why not do both? Why not compare? Why not make it better? Like there's no reason that you can't go out and do these things by yourself and take that initiative and take that first step. lead by example and do these things for yourself, and then have these other people follow you and congregate behind you. And whether that be through Caravan Broadcast Network as the voice of the
Right.
Caravan, whether that be through Seth Mendoza being the state champ wrestler and showing work ethic, or just being someone like Aaron Heiler and grabbing a mop and clean up in the lunchroom. I mean, any kind of thing like that.
Yeah. I think you put it perfectly where this summer is very important
Yeah,
because it's a time to touch on the initiative. I think the class we have is very special. Special. I know we already talked about it a little bit, but so many great personalities and great kids doing so many great things, right? Like you mentioned Seth a couple of times, committed to Missouri for wrestling. So not only are we doing good on the athletic side, but we're doing good on all facets. I feel like, and I think it's only up from here. But yeah, these next few months are going to be very important to see how student turnout will be at all these games. As somebody that isn't in the student section though, as somebody that stands up out there on the roof or up there on the track, like man, that's all I want is to see a packed student section. Like when I'm announcing a big play, I don't want to be the only one screaming my head off. Like of course I'm doing it
yeah,
into a mic, which is then going to YouTube. Like I don't want to be the only one getting excited because, yeah, people's parents are there and people's families, but man, it's so much different being a student here, cheering on your brothers. So it's like tonight, the baseball at Ozinga. Like man, I can picture it in my head, all these kids there, but then like if I show up and there's like only a handful, it's like dang. Like, it's a little disappointing. So,
yeah,
yeah. I'm really glad that Christos and Marty are working on that. I'm really glad we have this time to work on it and you know, this podcast is almost wrapping up. I mean, as a whole for
yeah, for
the
the
this
year.
year, but
Yeah,
when we come back in the fall, like I want to be able to come on here with a guest and say like, "Wow, that football game last Friday was incredible. Like the atmosphere was perfect." I
yep,
want to be able to say that. So, Len, thank you so much for coming on, man. That was
no
great.
problem.
I like, thank you for your insight as
Ha,
far as the student turnout
uh,
goes. But yeah, we want some big crowds. We want one tonight. We want one in the fall. We want them in the spring. We want them when we're gone. So if you're a
absolutely.
student listening to this, please start going to some games. And Leonard does the announcements. So if you have something that people should go to, tell them, right? Yeah,
Please, I'm begging you. I hate. I think I said this. There's nothing I hate more than going up the announcements, seeing the detention thing, and then like one other thing about a meeting, and then being like, "Well, I know there's a baseball game today. I just don't know when or where it is,
right.
so I can't say anything about it." And then like I feel terrible about it. So
Yeah,
please, if there's something you need me to do, if there's something you need any senior to do to promote something, I mean, I don't think there's a guy in this school that would not want to help you out.
yeah.
So yeah,
All right. Fans, thank you so much for tuning in. Leonard, thank you again for coming on. And good night, Chicago. Thank you.